Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the
Systems Doctors,
Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL Resilience Framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REAL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out.
the Systems Doctors
Alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. The implementation of the alignment framework prevents some of the most common problems in education, where leaders sometimes aren't sure where to start, or in our new age of educating, leaders need a trusted sounding board that allows them to be vulnerable and transparent, preventing loneliness at the top. The framework doesn't just help leaders, but also prevents teachers from burning out from too many initiatives and embracing teachers as they are the experts. Finally, the framework extends to the children, helping them get engaged in school and solving a nationwide problem. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in
the Systems Doctors
to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. Take a look. People who work with the
Systems Doctors
describe them as an excellent and inspiring group of leaders. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
It's Super Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 171 of the REALL Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own Systems DoctHers, HERS. I am Dr. Sheka Houston. Unmute, Tammy.
Good morning, and I'm Dr. Tammy Taylor.
Good morning. So if this is your first time in the REALL Academy, your System Doctors are trustmates in education. We raised our school report cards 2 and 3 levels in 1 year by putting in systems of excellence that empowered our students and our staff members. My school was a STEAM School of Excellence, a Palmetto Silver School for academic growth, and Tammy School is an NWEA case study school and an Admentum Showcase School. We've served in classrooms, leadership roles at the school and district levels, and in addition, we have also served and also serve on multiple boards in our community. A great deal of our success came about because of the empowerment strategies that we've provided to our students and staff members.
And if you're wondering how we empower through collaboration using our 3 systems to transformation. Those are systems of respect, systems of excellence, and systems of accountability. These systems are what led us through the process of improving our schools. And these systems can help any leader to transform their schools.
Most definitely. And if you were on with us last week, you heard us building our sister. That's another way that we empower through our Build My Sister collaborative, where Black women learn to build genuine sisterhoods. We also empower young ladies through the Real Me for Girls. That's our K 12 empowerment program that we use content to help young ladies discover who they really are. So if you are interested in any of those things, working with us, please contact us through our website. I will put it in the comments and make sure that you get in touch with us.
And each week we pay it forward as a part of our live stream network, the Fantastic Four at 10 a.m. with Sean Hurt, who wasn't on this morning with us, but he always makes up his work. So I'm sure he'll be giving you something really good soon. And then at 10:30, you're on with us, yours truly, Create and Educate in the Real Academy at 10:30. And then at 10:55, our mentor and the GOAT, AP and New Principals Academy with Principal Kafele. And then on Sunday evenings, PGP podcast with Dr. Morena and Principal Josh Tovar.
And we will be on with Josh and Dr. Morena this coming Sunday. So we'll be on the PGP podcast. We're looking forward to it. And Principal Hurt is not on because his daughter has a basketball game. So everybody tell her good luck in the comments. We know she's going to do well and play well. And he's always that supportive dad. So we always shout out Principal Hurt. And if normally when you join us, this is our time where we shout out our real fam members, but because we are pre-recorded today because of other events that are happening, we won't be doing our shout out. So just make sure that you do all of the things that the platforms do: like, share, comment. Don't keep us all to yourselves. Invite other people to hear the great information that we're going to share, because today we are very excited to announce our newest consultant that's going to be joining forces with us, the Systems DoctHers, in Create and Educate, Dr. Kimberly Odom. She is the progenitor of Schoolish. And if you've never heard of Schoolish, I'm going to put the flyer up so that you can really get this good visual. This is upside down the desk, because this is all about doing school differently, which definitely fits everything Tammy and I are about as disruptors in education. So I'm going to bring her up.
Love it, love it, love it. My friend this morning. And remember, you all, like, if you are hearing something really good during this episode, we want you to drop a Schoolish in the comments.
Most definitely. Welcome, Dr. Odom.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you this morning.
Thank you for joining us, not just on the show, but in the work. We appreciate you. And if you all you've heard me mention before, if you follow us regularly, that there was an assistant principal who was responsible for me getting into leadership. Well, this is her, none other than Dr. Kimberly Odom. So we appreciate her on so many levels. We know that when anyone joins us, we always give them their proper introduction. So I'm going to read her bio. Dr. Kimberly Odom is a 20-plus year practitioner in leadership. She is a part of dynamic forces and change, of positive change in education. She has a wealth of experience as a servant leader in schools across North and South Carolina. Dr. Odom brings passion and innovation to her role, and I'm definitely a person who has witnessed that. Her journey in education began with a strong foundation, earning degrees from esteemed institutions such as Winthrop University, South Carolina State University, and the University of South Carolina. She furthered her academic pursuits with a PhD in educational leadership from the University of South Carolina. Go Gamecocks! We know Josh gonna put that in the comments. Originally from Spartanburg, South Carolina, Dr. Odom carries with her the values instilled by her parents, Reverend Dr. James and Ruby Calhoun. Now residing in Charlotte, North Carolina, she shares her life with her loving husband of 18 years, Aaron, and their two sons, Andrew and Kendall. Outside of her professional endeavors, Dr. Odom is deeply involved in her community and various organizations. She is a proud member of Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, where she serves as a deaconess. I told her earlier, I didn't know you was a deaconess. Additionally, she is actively engaged with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Junior League of Charlotte, and the National Council of Negro Women. She's also the esteemed regional membership chair of the Mid-Atlantic region of Jack and Jill of America. Dr. Odom demonstrates her commitment to uplifting and empowering families while fostering a sense of community and belonging. Her leadership is characterized by empathy, vision, and a relentless dedication to creating positive change in the lives of those around her. So, welcome once again, Dr. Kimberly Odom. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you again for having me. And let me just say, I have to pause because you said that I'm responsible for kind of pushing you or giving you that nudge to go into leadership. And so glad if I had any impact, so glad that I did. But I want to thank the two of you for the work in your leadership in changing public education throughout this country. I don't know that you realize the impact that you're having, but I just want to publicly acknowledge and thank you for all of your work.
Oh, Fran,
thank you. We appreciate you. So we're going to get started. Tammy, you're going to start us off?
I am. And Fran, we are always super excited to spend time with you and hear the amazing things that are happening with you, because there are so many things and so many different ways that we can take our conversation with you, because you are that type of leader and you have such a large reach with everything that you do. But this morning, we want to spend some time with you talking about Schoolish. So we want you to tell everybody, what is Schoolish?
All right. So let me just say the impetus for Schoolish started just with a conversation after I finished my PhD. Just so everyone knows, a little interesting fact, Dr. Taylor and I received our PhDs on the same day. And afterwards had a conversation with a colleague. It's kind of like, well, what's next? And I will say that I have a passion just to support others in the work. When I think about my own personal leadership journey, there were certainly many highs, but also, some lows, some failures that I'm thankful for. They allowed me to become the leader that I am today. But in the conversation, it was kind of one of those Rick Warren purpose-driven life moments. If you have the cure for cancer, do you hold that to yourself? That's almost criminal. And so there's so many things, experiences that I have had that I would love to be able to impart to others who are going through similar challenges, struggles in leadership. I'm preaching to the converted when I say that it is a very lonely and hard job to lead schools. And so, it's my desire to be able to partner with and support principals in the work. The thing is, we have to do the work differently. Now, I will say that just the person who I am, and I've been very thankful to be surrounded by people who like to do things differently, not just for the sake of doing it differently, not to try to be contrary, but to try to impact change. And so I love the fact that you all refer to yourselves as disruptors. For me, I like to inspire change, but sometimes my, winning personality, charm, and wit don't always get it. And so that's when I become an instigator for change. And so, I have done that, and it's not always welcome, but I refer to it as good trouble, because at the end of the day, President Obama talks about how, the best anti-poverty program is a quality education. And so, while quality is subjective, we are called, to make sure that we have student outcomes. And if we are continuing to do things as we always have done, definition of insanity, we're going to continue to get poor results. And so I've been fortunate to be around women in my life who have been disruptors, instigators, from my mother, who was the first Black woman to become a magistrate in Spartanburg, to one of my principal mentors, Ms. Nancy Guzman. And I just feel it's important for me to acknowledge them publicly as well. But, women in history who are very quiet, they seldom make change. And so it's my desire, as mentioned, to partner with those, whether it's a novice principal or a principal who might just need to get out of the rut, and figure out how to move the school forward. Looking at my school culture, we're just not thriving, merely surviving at this point. I'm passionate about the work. And so just out of that passion, I want to make sure that I use those skills and resources and talents to be able to support this change revolution in public education. And so I will say that, while school hasn't changed, our students have, the needs of our teachers have, the needs of the principal have. And so there are three key things that I want to do in partnership with schools and districts to make sure that we bring about sustainable change. And so do you want me to go ahead and share those things now?
Yes,
Absolutely.
please.
Okay, well, so I will start first with, I know that lots of times if leadership sees that a principal may struggle, the first thing is we're going to assign you a coach. And I think just from the perspective of the principal, when you hear that, immediately there's this feeling of I'm less than, I'm thinking about my inadequacies. But for the principal, I need them to know that they are the coach. And so, I call this, it's assistant coaching. By virtue of the definition of an assistant coach, the assistant coach supports the coach in all aspects of, if it's football, the running team, whatever it is. And so again, it's the partnership. And so that assistant coach is always going to be on the lookout for, what are the blind spots? What are the challenges that, because the principal has to focus on this, I now come alongside to say, but you missed this, but you missed that. And then let's work together to figure out some viable solutions. So it's assistant coaching that I would implement, or that Schoolish provides for those principals who are having challenges, as we all do, but still making sure that the principal understands that they are at the helm, they are the coach, they are in charge. This is a supportive role to make sure that they're able to lead change and really to empower them to make change in their school. Likewise, I would say that the other part of this I think is so powerful. I've been fortunate to have a background in counseling. And so what happens when you walk into a new school and you're inheriting a leadership team that may or may not be productive, may or may not be cohesive? This is now your lot. How am I to figure out how to navigate different personalities? The energy in the room is off, but we have work that has to be done. So with that, just with my background in counseling, I love to work with teams and do things, whether it's, regarding personalities, figuring out the best ways for everyone to communicate, because at the root of the matter, if leadership, whether principal and that leadership team, are not intact and able to function effectively together, then the organization will not be successful. So targeted support for the principal in leading the management of productive, cohesive teams. And then finally, just culture building. One thing that people will say typically when they come into a school that I lead is that they come in and there's a feeling in the building. I want kids to be happy when they come to school. I want staff members to be happy when they come to school. So it's not always the case. Like, we do control our weather, and life happens. So it's not that every day will be that way, but at the same time, just to look at the whole school organization from a holistic perspective, kind of the greenhouse effect. I can't expect growth from anything if the conditions are not such that would allow for growth. And so to partner with them on looking at the whole school from the every stakeholder's perspective, from community members, parents, students, to make sure that it is a happy place for everybody to be.
Love
That
that. Yeah.
that is awesome. I'm going to let me change this banner out.
And while
And
Chick is changing the banner, I just want to say, Kim, I am very honored, first of all, to know you as a person, but I've always admired the tenacious nature that you lead with. You are just all in when it comes to your staff and your students, and it always shows up in the work of the school. So I send kudos for the amazing work that you do. And I am so excited about Schoolish and thankful for the opportunity to be a part of something that I do believe will be world changing, because we're going to have to look at things differently in order to make a difference in the lives of our kids.
Thank
most
you for that.
definitely.
Thank you for that. I will say that not every district is created equally. And there are some districts that have a very robust approach to principal support. But when you're in a situation where that may not be the case, I think that's where folks like you, folks like me are able to come in and fill those holes and gaps on behalf of the school district, to make sure that their principals, at the end of the day, we want our principals to be successful because we want our kids to be successful.
Definitely.
So I think that that's why this work is so important.
It is, and I'm going to drop Tammy backstage for just a moment. She's gonna get
Yes, I got
something.
you.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And so I mean, everything that you have said, people who tune in with us regularly know it aligns with everything that Tammy and I talk about, and which is so prevalent as to why you're joining us in this work. We like to not just talk about being trust mates, but we like to model that. So us doing the work together, having you come in with us, we want to model collaboration, because that is the key. When people run around having to thinking that I've got to know all of the answers, because that's a lot of times what people think of leadership. I got to know everything, and I got to, be the person to do everything. And this is too much work to do alone. You have to collaborate with people to be successful. So I love that we get to model that on multiple levels. One of the things I posted with the flyer is, do you think chronic absenteeism, high referral rates, large percentages of disengaged students, and teacher shortages are more than just a changing of the times? Because we hear that frequently, and we definitely do. Because some people, asking why do we need Schoolish would be a foolish question. We know, we're living it. We know why it's needed. But what I would like for you to get into is what schools would need this type of pro Schoolish, this information that or coaching, and what you have to offer, and what we'll be offering through Create and Educate through Schoolish. Who is it for? What schools?
So schools that are about continuous improvement, but in particular, because there's such a strong focus on school leadership, these days, in today's world, people have so many different choices. And so where it used to be where, my elementary school principal stayed in his role for probably 20 plus years, that's not the case anymore. So you have a lot of school turnover, in which with every leadership change, that's someone coming in with a different ideology and belief system on how the school, should function. And so in schools where that is the situation, where there's been high turnover with leadership, or someone who is more novice, or again, when there's leadership that seemingly is kind of just in a rut, have been doing the same things, and they are open to different ideas to be able to move the school forward. I think that Schoolish is ideal for them.
I love it. So Schoolish is for everyone because the world has changed.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I talk about this often, Tesla trucks that can drive themselves across the United States.
Mm-hmm.
We have buildings where people can take in a bag based on technology that's on their phone and drop everything in their bag and not check out with a single person, but just through their app. Technology and AI is changing the way that we do everything. Everything is personalized, but everything that we are doing in education has remained the same. And our children are being exposed to technology, to gaming, to personalization. And if we do not change to allow them to be prepared to work in these careers that are prevalent, they're coming up. AI and being knowledgeable of how to use AI is going to be essential for the workforce. If we don't become versed in what our children need, then we're not really preparing them. So Schoolish is for everyone. And sometimes people have that false sense of, oh, well, my school's average, or we're good, or we're excellent. We don't really need anything else. If you are doing traditional things, and I promise you, you probably have a school full of compliant children. And I say that because my own daughters, straight A students, A and B students, when they come home, they do their work because that's required. That's my expectation. I have high expectations. Their teachers have high expectations of them doing their work. But when I say, do you like school? Oh, I hate it. When it's time to go to school, they do not like what is happening at school. And if we really talk to our students, we were going through some school surveys, the climate and culture surveys at a data meeting. And that was one of the questions that was being asked. Like a lot of the students said, they were saying, well, we could have been on excellent had we got a few more points. But the kids said they don't like school, but every middle school student says that. Well, if they've been saying it, why haven't we been listening to them? Because if they don't like it, maybe we should ask, well, what would make you like it? Maybe we should look at some schools where they are saying they like it. They can't wait to get there. And I promise you, it is not a lot of the places that are doing the just traditional things. So we really have to get away from that. So I'm glad that this aligns with a lot of the things that we do under in Create and Educate, but we're glad that we're able to have you join us to be able to do it under the Schoolish umbrella, because it just really makes sense. And seeing that imagery is so powerful. Turning education upside down to make it better for children, to make it better for teachers, to make it better for leaders, because it's all bad. It's not just bad for one group. It's bad for everybody. So, to make it better for everyone involved, for the parents, I think this is where we need to be going.
Can I just say real quick, Dr. Sheka, so you talked about compliant students, but I think in education, we have the compliant educators. Now, when I say that, I'm not advocating for breaking all the rules, but I am advocating for ask the question. I've been in meetings before where, it's like, well, this group of people, they can't use this intervention with the kids because they're not, what have you, whatever the criteria is. Who said that? Where is it written? Are we, potentially denying access to something that could really make a difference with this particular child because of this unwritten rule that we've been following forever, and we don't even know where it came from. So I think that compliance is sometimes the enemy of creativity. And so, likewise, we have these compliant kids, but it's problematic when we have this dedication to compliance. In education, again, we're not trying to break any laws or anything like that, but we are trying to do things differently so that we don't have kids who are coming to school just to be compliant, but actually hating their experience. They are our customers.
Right. Exactly.
That's right. And I think one important thing that you said, Dr. Odom, is that when you are talking about the reason that we're doing something, the reason should always go back to the children.
Absolutely.
So whatever is best for them, whatever that needs to look like, should be what I'm considering as the leader.
Mhm.
So you might not understand why I set up things the way that I set them up at my school, because they are different, drastically different than what you're doing at your school.
Mhm.
But until we discover within ourselves as leaders that I have to do things the way that they need to be done for these children, for this staff,
Mhm.
then we're going to continue to get the same thing that we've continued to get for a long, long time. And that's people who are going through the motions.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And to me, if we're going to just go through the motion with as hard as this work is, we might as well just not. We could do something else
Yeah.
and kind of chill out, because this work is very intentional if it's going to be done to have impact.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hey,
Yeah, but I think it's so the courage to lead, and so we can't continue to move being scared.
mhm.
Um, and I think maybe some of that, trepidation goes out the window when you realize the outcome that I am really seeking here and what's at stake. So, of course, I continue to say we're not breaking laws by any means, but we have to do things differently, y'all. Like our kids, and I say it, in jest, but, when you look at the impact that education will have on the trajectory of a child's life, I always say to people, like, you're messing with their money. Their livelihood, the
Yes.
livelihood of generations to come is
Mhm.
impacted by what they receive or do not receive when they walk into those doors. So
Absolutely.
it's not,
You're messing with their health, you're messing with
Yes.
their wealth,
yeah.
you're messing with the future of this country, because when you are maleducating, and for lack of a better way to explain that, the children that we have the opportunity to serve, and we're not preparing them for what's next,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
we're
Yeah.
failing. I,
But
I,
and we're
I'm sorry.
not just failing them, but we are also failing ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because if these are the people to take over the community, and we're not having them prepared to compete in a global society, because it's not just going to be local competition.
Mm-hmm.
The way the world
It's
is
not.
working right now, it's global competition. If they
Mhm.
are not prepared, we are also shooting ourselves in the foot, because when
We
you're
are.
not educated, then you're going to be more likely to be incarcerated. You're going to be more
Mhm.
likely to participate in risky behavior. And
Mm-hmm.
so you putting yourself at risk to be robbed and stolen from and harmed.
That's right.
Mhm.
So for the betterment of society, we have to
Yes.
make sure that we are engaged in this work for
That's it.
children, for the community, for it just benefits everyone to do it right the first time.
Absolutely.
Do it right. Look, I love Dr. Sheka Houston's honesty.
Yes. I'm gonna tell the truth.
The real. Yes,
The
ma'am.
real, exactly. We gonna keep it real in the Real Academy. And with that being said, too, we want to make sure people know that this is not just for schools. Because to be honest, this mindset of Schoolish doing school differently really needs to start with the district level. There are so many things at the district level that we could do differently to make things better for people that we serve.
Mhm.
If it started there, that would be something that would just really make the whole district better.
Mhm.
And so we offer that work as well, to work with district level leaders. This work, as I said earlier, aligns with things that we already offer too through Create and Educate. That's that interest based learning through personalized curriculum that engages. Because if you look at the personalization level of everything in our society, from the way we turn on the television, all of our experiences are personalized, but we still doing this whole group learning for everybody. And we have all of this technology at our fingertips, and we're not using it to benefit our children and to engage them. The other thing is, from my generation to your generation, to know me is to teach me, because if we don't know our children generationally, we don't even know where to start on how to serve them. And they are so different than the generation we came from.
Mhm.
Very. And we have to respect the fact that they are, and we have to respect the fact that we're different.
Yeah.
We're different. Like, we're different people than we were 4 years ago. Just being for real. We handle things differently. We approach things differently than we did just 4 years ago. So we have to go, I think introspectively, we have to go into a reflection on, why do we always say, like you said, Sheka, they were saying in the data meeting, well, all middle school kids say that. Yeah, no, we can't do this anymore, because this is not the same kind of kid that you were. It's not the same kind of child that your children that you birthed. Both of you have different kids. Like, your one is very different than the other. This is the way I feel like we should approach not just what's happening in our classrooms and in our schools, but in life in general. And Sheka mentioned that we do this work with districts, but we also look at things from a disruptive perspective with churches, because we're going to have to fill in the gaps for the missing generation at church. We're going to have to help this as a country. We're going to have to recenter some things, because if we don't get back to basics and helping everybody understand what that looks like, because it's very different, we are going to suffer some extreme loss. And friend, I know I'm off this particular script, so I'm gonna go back to what we were supposed to be talking about. I'm supposed to be talking to you about what your thoughts are about how many kids you think in these average, and we're not talking about in schools that are considered to be needing improvement at this point. We're talking about in our average and good and excellent schools. How many kids would you say, would you think are just there out of compliance and just being compliant, not there enjoying and having a good time and really processing and internalizing, but just, this is what I do.
Yeah, I think in many instances, it's a very high percentage of those who walk through the doors. They are there just because. And that's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. You all were talking about mindset. So to me, it goes back to like purpose, your why. To me, it's an easy shift of mindset when you are very clear on your why. So, to answer your question, yes, I think a very high percentage of students, unfortunately, come in and it almost feels like they're being subjected to education as we knew it, walking in, back in, I won't date us, but, several years ago. And that's unfair to them, because it will not provide them with what is needed to equip them for the world that they're going to walk into. So we have to do things differently. And again, I just want to empower educational leaders to not be afraid. Go ahead and move forward. Like, it's right. Be strategic in how you move forward with doing things that are right, but may not be popular. I think that's essential. It pains me when I encounter folks who, like, you see that there's a missing link. You're talking about the church. Yes, there's a whole generation that stays home and watches service or not, but they're not present in the church house. But steeped in, so much tradition, what are we trying to do to be able to re-engage those folks? And so, I think that's just part of organizational leadership. And it's always a conversation to figure out, how do we fill in those gaps. But in particular with education, because the stakes are so high, I just want educational leaders through this work to know that they can do it. Be
Mhm.
strategic, but go ahead and you've got to make those moves.
That's right. And I definitely want people to know that we are not in any way trying to proselytize anybody, but we're on here with the First Lady and the Deaconess, and we are women of faith. So, faith is a part of our daily lives. It's going to come up in what we do. But you're right. I think two of the best ways to impact great change is through the church and the schools. And two of the institutions that are the most traditional are
Mhm.
those two institutions. And those are the two institutions that I feel are failing people at the highest magnitude. So
Mhm.
if we do not disrupt, if we do not kill the tradition, if we do not change our practices to match how we can best serve people, we will not get the results that are needed for people to be successful.
And
So,
remember, we need community change. Like we want to,
Mhm.
we're talking about doing things and being people who can strengthen the communities that we are living in, the communities that we're serving in.
mhm,
So the stroke can't be so broad that we're missing these intricacies of what has to happen in order for things to really change. And we have to have the courage, as Dr. Odom said before, to to be able to lead courageously. Like you can't cower to, well, we don't want to upset anybody. Nope, we are going to have to disrupt some things, and
Mhm.
we're going to have to do some things differently, and we're going to have to challenge the status quo. We
Mhm.
can't
mhm.
just do things because this is the way that we've been doing things. And
Mhm.
again, I will go back to the disclaimer from the very beginning. We're talking about doing things decently and in order and legally. We are not doing anything
Always,
is
always,
off
always.
script.
But
We're just what's right.
when I think about this, the innovator in education I think about, who I have great admiration for, is Dr. Peter Gorman. And so, like in terms of shifting mindset, let's say that you are still skeptical. Like look at research, and when people have put things in place that were totally different than anything that had been done before, look at the results. Dr. Gorman came into Charlotte Mecklenburg schools with an initiative called strategic staffing. There was incentive pay that was connected to it. You brought in your highest performing educators to go into your lowest performing schools. And like, there is evidence, there is proof there to show that, bringing in the best and the brightest in your lowest performing schools, incentive pay, all those things turn schools around and has sustainable growth and change. And so, like, we've seen it happen. We just, again, have to be courageous enough to be able to go ahead and make it happen. Be strategic with where you place your funds, be strategic with where you place your resources. It can be done.
For sure.
Most definitely. If anything that we've been talking about today has resonated with you, please drop a Schoolish in the comments and let us know. This is all about doing school differently. Stop being compliant just from going through the motions of what we've always done, the tradition, and actually looking at our data to see, are the things that we are doing really making an impact on children? Is it going to prepare them to have a career in a global society? Are we
Mhm.
even teaching them about the future careers to come? Because sometimes, we mention the standards a lot, but sometimes we don't connect the standards to careers for children. And that's ultimately what we are preparing them for, to be able to be successful. And we're not even versed on it a lot of times in
Mhm.
our space and what we do. So from the district level, if you would like to do things differently, we're going to put our website in the comment field here. Just fill out the form, contact us. We would love to do a discovery call with district leadership teams, school leadership teams, and also working with your teachers with changing the curriculum. Because if we do not get this down to the student level, things will just continue to be the same. We're going to continue to go through the motions,
Mhm.
and all of us are going to continue to be compliant, and that is not what is best for children.
Mhm.
Any closing remarks, ladies?
Yes. So again, big thank you to the two of you. Shout out to your audience that's very committed and faithful to getting up on Saturdays and logging in to listen to all the wealth of information and knowledge that you all are able to share. Again, this is just let me say this. So while I am on here with my suit and very professional, these ladies have called me a progenitor. I'm feeling real smart right about now. But I typically like to cut up. So I would say that is just a part of, my love for people, my love for children. I enjoy having a good time. And I think that is part of the reason I'm able to connect with people and usually inspire the change as opposed to having to instigate. But I certainly don't mind having to instigate. Look, the work that we do is so important. I was very fortunate to have the parents that I had. You talk about, growing up on the right side or the wrong side of the tracks. My parents did all that they could for me and my brother. And I had a very happy, stable childhood. That's not the case for everyone. And I can say for like my dad in particular, that was his story. He would have been one of those on the wrong side of the track kids. But if not for Jessie Mae Davidson, who I know, she ended up being my brother's godmother. If not for her and what she did to pour into him, to show him a different way, my life would be so different. And so, with that, story about, my dad and, what he has been able to accomplish in his lifetime. And again, that impacts me and my children as well. I just, implore everyone who's listening to make sure that you do all that you can to do school differently, to make sure that you reach those kids who may not be on the quote unquote right side of the tracks. But we do it for all of them. We do it for all of them, but it's essential that we make sure that we show up differently, that we do school differently, because our kids are going into a different world.
Most definitely. Anything from you, Tammy?
Just thank you so much again, friend, for joining us this morning and pouring out the wisdom that we so admire from you. You said we have you sounding smart. That's because you are absolute brilliance. Y'all, she downplays and just acts like she's underestimated, but this girl is the bomb. So we are always ecstatic to share any space that we can with you. And again, want to just thank you for what you do, what you have done for children since before I had the privilege of knowing you, because your heart truly is in that place. And just to go on and echo what you said before, you shared with the audience that we were able to share that stage a few years ago as we were becoming doctors. And just again want to thank you for even that, because it was very important to me to be able to have and share that moment with you, because that was a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard work and years.
Came to a culmination on that beautiful morning. And so I'm very thankful for who you are and what you do, and just want you to know that this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate it.
Yes, and as we close, people know that our work about Build My Sister, that's exactly what you did with me and my leadership journey. I had no interest in leadership at all. And when you told me about the program at the State Department, you was like, you need to go ahead and do it. And I wasn't going to do it, but I went on and did it at your insistence. And that those are the types of things that matter. Those are the types of things when we talk about Build My Sister that people should be doing. When you see something in people that they don't see in themselves, it matters that you say something. It matters that you give them the push, that you give them that encouragement. And even last week when we had Dr. Sweeley on, she talked about even that imposter syndrome that a lot of people, a lot of Black women especially have, because she even mentioned how she wasn't even going to fill out the application because, just those thoughts of, well, who would even think? And then had she not, when we talk about the national principal of the year.
That's
So,
right.
sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. We don't think that we should be in certain spaces and we should be in every space. So, thank you for just putting this out there like this, because I
Mhm.
think hearing it this way resonates. It has already resonated with a lot of people who have already commented on what we posted, but I think it's going to continue to resonate with people. And in this work of disruption, Principal Hurt, Principal Kafele, Dr. Chester, the BER conference, all of that has been a part of changing that narrative for us. And just from what Principal Kafele is my school a better school because I lead it, really kind of started that for me, and I think for Tammy too, just that reflection piece, because sometimes we get so complacent in doing, going through the motions, we don't take that time to look at, well, what are we actually doing?
Mhm.
So we're glad that Schoolish will
Mhm.
definitely be an extension of that for people to really look at what's happening in your space and really making it something that can be meaningful and impactful for students, for your staff, for yourself, and for the community.
For sure. And just know, Kim, because one of the things too that I think you sell yourself short on too is because you don't do it in a formal way, but you've been doing this. You were in leadership as the school level leader before we were. Like
Mhm.
Hmm.
she could said you were a motivation for her to become
Mhm.
a school level leader, but you take what you do very seriously and you impart that wisdom on those that are around you, helping to make things better, not just at your school, but across districts and across the state, across states, because you've worked in multiple states. So your work is very profound, and we do appreciate you. And I certainly appreciate you for being that sister. So keep doing your work, girl.
Thank you. I will. I was going to say the real tea is for everybody out there. While I was encouraging Dr. Sheka got her doctorate way before me. Me and Tammy was still struggling, trying to get her APA format, all the things. She was done. She
Honey,
was done.
listen, when them people tell you, ma'am, you have gotten to your time, that's because I was at the time. I had to come out of there with something, where I wasn't gonna be coming out of there with my money's worth. So that kind of motivation put a fire up under you.
Yeah, and see, I was still taking classes. Like, okay, I'll finish when I finish. Because guess what?
Look, we
What I
finished. But
will
we
Yeah,
not
just
do
and
is be stressed out. Like,
that
if
right.
I
exactly.
have to say this morning, I don't even know if he's going to be listening. So if anybody's listening, let Alfred know, because he was the one who said,
Oh,
"Oh no, you will not." Because I was just like, I'll finish when I finish. Nope, you going to finish this
And
Tim
that's
Smith.
Dr.
You go
Alfred
get
Williams.
done.
that's right.
Yes,
Dr. Alfred, USC degree
Dr.
Dr.
as well.
Alfred
Alfred Williams.
Yeah,
Williams,
we just took the scenic route.
PhD.
It
Yes,
was a
Yeah.
scenic route.
As long as we finish, that's what matters.
changed my dissertation topic in the middle of all that, changed it, and thank God for Dr. Chika Akua who
Yes,
saw the
That's
vision.
right.
yes,
That's
Because guess what? That work has turned into a whole other thing. So
right.
God did what he
That's
intended
right.
to do.
That's
he
right.
did.
That's right.
Well, thank you all for joining us this morning for Schoolish, School Done Differently. We hope that we'll be hearing from you. We hope that we'll be working with your district, with your school, and with your teachers, because there are multiple things that can be put in place for school to be done differently that will be so impactful for your students, for your staff, for your communities, and even for yourself, because this work is rewarding when it is
Mhm.
done correctly. So, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next week. Please jump over to Principal Kafele's page. He has a phenomenal guest on that is going to enlighten us, and then join us on Sunday for PGP podcast, where Dr. Tammy and I will be the guest, and then back here on Saturday for Super Saturday. You all have a great rest of your week.